Hi, I'm Riggs Zanati.
And I'm Harold Muliati.
And today our guest is Heather Foster. She's a very well-known voice talent. She's done almost any kind of voice work. She's fun. She's bright. Boy, can she read? She reads fast. You're going to see her reading in about a moment from a video we have. And, she's beautiful. She's got everything going for her. And she's here. Here we go. Welcome to Sounding Great, a podcast dedicated to you. Your voice, your recordings, your audio. How you present yourself and how people perceive you. Sounding great because you can. And we are back and in that center position of power. We've got Heather Foster. Heather, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Yeah, the show's called Sounding Great, and my voice is like, dying. But
it happened.
It
happens. Happens to all of us.
Of a
Old
little
Murphy's
hoarseness
Law.
going on.
I know.
But anyway, we're so glad you could join us. And, Heather and I met a couple weeks ago. We were on, actually, I was on Fiverr. We just signed up for Fiverr. And I started looking for female voice talents because we're always looking for a good female voice talent. And I think I went through about 30 and Heather showed up. And I went, that's the one right there. And then we talked for a bit and had a really nice conversation. But Heather has a really nice voice, but it's not just the voice. I think and you know this, Heather, it's the whole package. It's who you are, how you come out of that voice and how you present and the way you read. I love the way you read because you read very freshly in terms of the way you look at things. And two, you can act it out as you're reading it very quickly. And that's a skill not everybody has. And your voice is different. And by the way, her nickname is the Merlot of VO. So just keep that in mind, the Merlot of VO.
Hey, there I am. I feel very Kill Bill in that outfit. It was
that's right.
Yeah.
Just need the sword.
I know.
Well, you got the 416 in your hands, right?
That's right. I'm ready to slay you with my voice.
So, yeah, it's a good mic. I mean, no, they're not called shotguns for no reason, I think.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, hey, let's play a little sample of something you did. And you do this as a warm-up exercise. And it blew us away when we first were just listening going, wow, she can do that. Look at that. And we were wondering when it was going to end. But the ending's my favorite part. Anyway, here we go. Let's play that.
Oh, okay. I have some long form narration I got to get ready for. So I'm going to get my tongue twister out. This one is called Nonsense. Ready? An accent is easy to accept as long as it is accessed accurately, ascending in ascension to aesthetics, ethics, and essential essence, irrevocable, irreconcilable, indescribably, indelibly, delectable, and irascibly contrived to the point of incredulous simultaneous combustion, at the risk of salutations that rise above the lifeless, lineless numbness of the vernacular that holds us all captive, to the serene calm of prism hypnotism and paradigm-driven resistance, to the futuristic realm of the charismatic adventures of the poets and scholars that wander the halls of prestigious universities around the globe. Libation is in order if you need a drink. Knowledge is in order if you want to think. The case is driven by witnesses whose stories change every day. Lost on the road is your navigation, okay? Are you precise in a world that thrives on delay? Put off tomorrow what you could do today, tomorrow, next week, or maybe not at all. No longer obsessed with how tall or how small. Didn't know about the latest technology. Didn't know about the winner of the spelling bee. I'm still rejoicing about the men on the moon, but maybe we went there too soon.
that ending is great. Did it.
Rodney Salisbury's Tongue Twister book is fantastic. I recommend it highly, not only for voiceover actors, but anyone who does any speaking. It is such a great way to get that, eye-mouth coordination kind of working together. He's got some great tips too, some vocal health tips in there too. I use it all the time.
It's great, and you do it very well. And what I enjoyed was watching the hand movement.
Mm-hmm.
You're a conductor.
I'm always conducting myself. It matters. Some people. So I'm a real hyper person. I'm a kinesthetic learner, and so a lot of people in voiceover I've noticed are musicians or have really great audio ears. I actually don't. I mean, I can hear, but I learn primarily by vision and doing. So the movement is how I feel copy. So that's why so I have to actually sit down when I record. If I stand up, I tend to get a little too animated. And so sometimes I have to keep my hands, sometimes I have to read like this because I'm a little too, it just depends on what I'm doing, but I definitely always have to incorporate my hands, and if it has to be smooth, I'm smoothing myself down anytime, or if it's, staccato, I'm ta 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 ta, so that works for me. Everybody's different.
Now, I gather you're probably a voracious reader.
I now consume audiobooks.
Same here.
Yeah, because it's a time, it helps me with time. I'm very, very busy. I can write it off. And I love hearing audio. I love hearing what people do, all kinds of different narrators, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, anything. I love listening to people tell me stories.
Yeah. And it's fun. And one of the things, what got you into voiceover originally?
I always wanted to be an actor. I actually, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be Joey Lawrence. I wanted to be on the Tonight Show. Like, he would go on the Tonight Show with his little legs swinging and this little page boy haircut. And he would just say something just ridiculously kiddish, and the whole audience would go crazy, and Johnny would be laughing. And I was like, I want to do that. So I was in musical theater and all kind, singing and musical all through high school. And then I chickened out. I just was too scared to pursue it. I wasn't enough, I wasn't pretty enough or talented. I told myself these things. And fast forward to my mid 40s, and I was in Houston. My kids were in school and my husband was gone at work. And I was like, I'm going to take some on-camera classes. And so I really enjoyed that here in Houston. I was, really doing great and got an agency. And then some things happened, and I couldn't really go out for things. I couldn't really leave the house. So this isn't COVID related. This is years ago. And so my acting coach was like, have you ever considered voiceover? And I was like, what's voiceover? And that's how it started. When I found out that this was a thing and I could do it from home, I was hooked. So yeah, I've been crazy about voiceover for about little over 6 years now.
That's great. And so in 6 years, so you were in your mid 40s, which is, you started a little later, which is actually even more fun. The fact that you just jumped into it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
And I'd say you are pretty much at the top of the game out there.
Well, I'm working on it. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not, I'm not complacent. I will always be trying to be a better storyteller. That's my goal.
But you're good. But you are good. If you have a chance and you go to her website, which I think we showed earlier.
But here it is again.
There it is again.
Thank you.
She's done. Heather has done a lot of different things, and what I enjoy about the work she does is she has a unique voice. It fits with the way she reads and the way she performs, because there's a lot of voiceover talents out there, and I'm not going to downplay anybody. Everybody has a place. But
Absolutely.
Some people are just not that interesting, and I'll say that honestly. It's what I call it, just a very common voice, a perfect maybe voice, but it doesn't go anywhere. And to me, it's much more interesting when I find somebody who has life to the voice. In other words, not just a voice, but that whole life behind the voice. And that's what I caught in you right away. And I thought that was, I was like, she's got a great voice. And and that's, that's not a small thing to have, because one, you're not new at it. You've been doing it, like you said, 6-7 years, but it's also your life experience coming right out in the voice too, which is something a lot of people are a little afraid of letting go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's always sometimes people get a little guarded about what they expose, because the voice it tells everything. It does. I know there's a lot of folks that are afraid of, in the voiceover world, who are afraid of AI taking our place. And I just don't, I'm like, I have spent 6 years training and training and training and learning and learning and learning. And I can go into a session and I can read something 5 different ways, and we have to, we talk about it. I just don't see a computer programmer being able to program, what we do. I know people that's getting better, but there's this subtlety, this thing that we do when we tell stories that are it's so finite. It's just, it's just like feathers. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Harold.
And part of the thing is with the AI, well, actually, I guess with the acting part of voiceover, there's such a nuance to it, such a subtlety where, it has to be not too much, not too little, that, and not to offend anyone, but a lot of times software engineers are not necessarily the most subtle at picking up all of the human cues and stuff like that. So
that's a really good point.
I don't know how they're going to be able to make an AI that.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. You've got semi-autistic people, Asperger's for the most part, when they're engineers, trying to develop human emotion. That's an interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, my son, my son's on the spectrum, but he's pretty affected. He's also intellectually disabled, but so it's not really, people on the spectrum definitely understand emotion, or they feel emotion, and they definitely can recognize it, but to be able to describe it in detail and to recreate it.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's, I tend to be really half full kind of person. I'm just drawn this way. I'm very cheerleadery. So I just don't see AI taking over. I could be wrong, but when I read a promo spot, or, there's 4 words, and in those 4 words, you tell a whole story. And if you just hit one a little too hard, then it blows the whole thing up. I just don't see how that will be programmed.
And it can't be. And one thing that...
It can't be.
No, and this is where people don't really know a lot about computers. They may work on computers, but they don't know how they really work or how they're programmed. AI languages, while they're smart enough, are programmed to recognize patterns and nothing else.
Exactly.
So they might recognize what's called an emotion, but they can't reproduce it. Computers have no emotions. Sorry, guys. For all you people who think they do, keep watching the movies, enjoy it, but they don't.
They don't.
I've been a programmer for most of my life, and I actually learned artificial programming back when I was in college, and this is back in the early years. No, it's not going to get there. I mean, it can get sort of realistic, and this is sort of funny. The biggest areas where AI they're working on, and they don't talk about this a lot, but the porn industry is working on AI to create, for I guess, very lonely people, voices. But the thing is, it's not going to be very real. I mean, you can just imagine the voice is just totally kind of deadpan, trying to get somebody excited. I don't think so. And it's not the same. It's not. You can't nuance it, like Harold said. That nuance, that little bit of nuance, you're never going to see. You're never going to hear it. It's where it's going to hurt some VO talents in the explainer videos. Press 5 now. Press 5 now. Click enter. Go, because some of the explainer videos are pretty boring. It'll probably do great for the companies that are cheap, and that's all they want, just a fake voice, and it sounds fake, and nobody really cares.
But see, for me, I think, like, if I had a company, and I know it would be cheaper, but at what cost?
Exactly.
Because it's not that much more to get a real person to do it. And then you have, if you can find somebody who's engaging, you'll actually have your listeners retain more, which could be a better employee. Yeah. Maybe there's a safety video that they snoozed during because it was AI. Now they're actually paying attention to, and maybe lives were saved. I'm not really trying to be too, hyperbolic about it, but for me, I think it's important. I keep going back to that over and over. Whether you're talking about how to find the fire hydrant, or you're actually telling a story about, like a crime scene where it's, where every woman in the world is drinking wine and with her cat and listening, But whether you're telling those, it's still a story. That's what I always remember is, like, when I sit down in the booth, whatever it is that I'm recording, I ask myself, who are you talking to? Of course. Who are you? And why are you telling this story? This is a story. Why are you saying these words? Because if you just start phoning it in where you're like, I don't really care, that's the beauty. You can train your voice, just kind of like an AI person. You can train your voice to talk in this pretty sing-songy way. But if you don't care about what you're saying, your listener, it may take them a minute, may take them 2 if you're really good, but eventually your listener is going to know that you don't care what you're talking about. That's just my opinion. But I think
that makes all the sense in the world.
I think it's pretty shared, at least by people that do it, and I think producers, people that produce content, I think they agree as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a friend who he's a teacher. He's been a coach, a teacher. He was a professional basketball player. Wonderful human being. And when he first called me, he said, "Hey, Rick, I know you've done VO work and you know a lot about voice. Can you help me? I want to get into this." So I said, "Sure, send me some samples of what you've done." So he did. And his e-learning samples, I was honest with him. I said, "You're okay, but your diction's not that great. You need to work on it. And it just doesn't sound lively enough. It sounds like you're just reading." And however, when you told the story, because he sent me a story, I was just like, I want to know more.
Exactly.
I love his voice. Telling a story. I was next to him. We were friends at a coffee shop, and he's telling me a story. I was so engaged with that.
Exactly.
And it was beautiful. And I told him, I said, in all honesty, forget the e-learning crap. Go into you're an incredible storyteller. You're the beauty in you as a human being is just right there. And he did. He started telling stories. He did a book he dedicated to his mom about his life and everything. Cool. And he read it. And it's, I love the guy too. We became very good friends since then. But it's just wonderful what he's done being himself and telling a story. And he does it naturally.
Yeah. We all do. Some of us are more gifted at it than others. Some people can tell us a story about buying paper towels and you're riveted, but I think we all have, and I think everybody, if they really do want to do something like this, because I get asked a lot, like, I want to do voiceover. I've been told I have a great voice. That's always the thing. I came in this from the other way, from the acting thing, but when I tell people I'm a voiceover, usually they go, "Really? You?" Because out in the world, I think people have this idea that that there's only like one kind of voice for voiceover, and I don't have a traditionally pretty voice. It's not high and clear, and it's lower and raspier, but it's for what I do. And we talked about this when we talked on the phone. It's part of the reason that I started calling myself the Merlot of VO. First of all, it rhymes, so it sticks in your head. But also that, you don't want a Chardonnay with every meal. Sometimes you need a heartier drink. If you're going to have a nice big steak meal, you're not going to have champagne. You're not going to have a white Zinfandel. You want a good Merlot, and so that's how I present myself. You got a steak meal project. I'm your gal,
and like you said, and don't take this the wrong way. You have a good voice. However, you have a great you. And that's what I see in you. You've got the voice. It's good. You have a good voice, but you make it just great. And that you can't buy that. I don't care how much training someone has. They can't buy that. They either
that's
have
over
it
and
or
over
they
and
don't.
again.
Yeah.
That's what all through the training that I had a session with one of my coaches yesterday. I still believe very strongly in getting good coaching, and I go to different coaches for different things, and I learn from everybody. And I learn from other voice actors, I learn from creatives, I learn from everybody. But over and over and over again, it has been told to me, it is not about your voice. It is about how you use it. I may be selected because of a voice print, or I may be in the running for something because of a voice print. But at the end of the day, it's just what you said. Like, how are you using it? What are you bringing? And sometimes people go, she sounds like my ex-wife. Next.
And that sort of leads to another question I wanted to get your thoughts on, and I promise this is leading to a coherent question. But occasionally when I listen to voiceover stuff, whether it's storybooks or recently I was listening to, it was a narrated, like a graphic novel that was an audiobook. And occasionally you'll get these performances where the voiceover is putting everything too much over the top. Everything is 100%. He opened the door. He saw a dead body. And it's like, you can have a boring performance, and you can have a performance that's just like too much.
Calm down. Yeah. But, and okay, I'm sorry. What's your question?
But what I was going to ask is, how do you review your own stuff so that you get, an objective enough read of it so that you can kind of figure out how other people are going to perceive it?
That's a really great question, because that's the big, so from what works best for me is, and because most of the time that's going to happen in an audition, right? Very rarely do people just hire me based on demos and things like that. So they might like my voice and then they send me the stuff to read.
Yeah.
And then, so what I usually do in an audition situation, if I have time, I'll record 2 or 3 different versions of the audition, and then I go away. Like if in a perfect world, I can sleep on it. If I could overnight it, and then in the morning I wake up with fresh ears and a cup of coffee, and I will listen in. And if I still like it, if I still understand what I'm saying and why I'm saying it, and it seems to still fit, then I'll send it, because those fresh ears really add that objectivity. Whereas, but a lot of times you just don't have that kind of time. A lot of times they're like, I need this, your agent will go, now I need it 10 minutes ago. And so if that happens, what I usually will do is grab some music that I think might work. Cause you'd be surprised at how often, creatives don't send us anything. If there's video or music or any, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really helps. But if they don't, they just send us, and then they send us a bunch of words that, that's like, they'll say something along the lines, they want it professional and friendly, but not too friendly, and dynamic, but not too dynamic, and then you're like, what? And that happens a lot. So a lot of times I will go and I'll just go through the script, and I'll just and this is from training and different people that have taught me how to go through a script and find keywords and see about what they're really trying to say. What are they really selling? Are they selling excitement? Are they selling, love? Are they selling, a lifestyle? Are selling, there's this undercurrent, especially in commercial e-learning, not so much. It's pretty much, it's educational. You're there to inform. But, and even then I can pick out in the script if there's like hey, it's, if there's some contractions are a big lead off, if it's can't instead of cannot, I realize right then I can be a little more, more relaxed. Yeah. If everything's very, very, and if it's medical, of course, you're going to be very, very professional. That kind of stuff. But if I'm really stuck in like a commercial script or something like that, I'll grab some music and I'll try to record to music. And they're like, people have asked like, how do you know what music? I'm like, I don't, but it's at least it's a choice.
So in some respect, there's almost an aspect of having to be like a magician or a performance psychic to cold read the stuff and figure out based on the people's words that they gave you what they really want.
Absolutely.
And I suppose that's true with any creative.
In the old days, before I started back, before the internet, really, that and home studios were so prevalent because now everybody has one. But people would actually go in to audition and they would direct you in the booth. Mm-hmm. And I personally, I love being directed. I'm actually really, I take direction well. I like it. It's fun for me. I'm a very people person. I love talking to people. So I get a little lonely in the booth all day long. So I'm like, yeah, direct me. Come on in. It's just to the ear. but back in the day, they would direct people in the booth and guide them. And then it really was kind of a voice print pick. Yes, too deep, too raspy, she's perfect, or whatever. But at least we were all singing the same song. Now you don't know what the tune of the song is. You have to figure it out. Right. And so those are some of the stuff that I do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But at least you do what you can to get close to it. And but if there's a video or music, I'm all in. I'm like, yeah, I know what to do.
So, right. so basically the music gives you that beat, the beat you need to kind of.
Yeah. Or just the vibe, and so I just kind of see what, and like people said, like, how do you know what music? I'm like, I don't, but I've heard from different coaches, and I've actually bought time with casting directors, so that I can kind of get closer to the source and find out exactly what they're looking for. And that's one of their biggest things is they say, people are playing it so safe, because they don't want to mess up. They want to you're so worried about giving you what you want, what they think you want, that they're not really making a choice. And so they're just talking pretty and then hoping that you'll like it. And I totally am guilty of that. I just, at some point, like in the last year, I just started going, you know what? I'm just going to do me. And then I just started doing that. And if I'm not right for it, that's okay. At the end of the day, I want the best voice for the product or whatever the project is. That casting is an art form, and it should be, it should be right.
I like the way you said that. I'm just going to do me, and I could just picture everybody just getting out of your way. Did you walk?
Just everybody.
Yep.
I'm there. Everybody get out of the way. Move over.
Well, you know what they say: don't mess with Texas.
That's right.
That's right.
So she's originally from Kansas.
Yeah.
But actually, Missouri. I'm one of those weird.
You're on the Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri side.
Yes, I know. No one except for people from Missouri and Kansas care about this.
So why do they call Missouri the Show Me State?
I don't know.
I never figured that out. Never figured that out.
It was, I know at some point I probably learned this in school. When you're in grade school and you learn all about your state. I'm sure I knew that at some point, but I don't now. I can't remember.
I could just say, I'm not going to show you. I'm going to tell you. I'm a voiceover talent.
Yeah. Yep. I will. Yeah. Well, they say that a lot too. In the commercial world, they say, tell us, don't sell us. Yeah. So just tell the story. Don't sell it to us anymore. People, back in the day, when I was a little kid, it was like, they would just say, buy Colgate, and that was it. And then they would just order you, buy it.
Yep. Buy it. You're done.
You're done. That's all. It was a big man's voice, and it was like, yes, sir, I will do that. And now we have these commercials where it's like, there's just like, it's so pulled back. These national commercials anyway, where they're just barely talking to you and they're just telling their experience, and you're like, what is this commercial about? I don't even know. What are we talking about here?
That's a good point, because when you watch a Super Bowl or anything, some of the commercials that you're
like,
huh?
What?
And the worst thing is you can't identify the brand afterwards.
Sometimes you remember the commercial, but you maybe not know like what were they doing?
Apple did a big mistake years ago when they started doing. I think they used the big blue men, or what do they call the blue men?
Blue Man Group.
Blue Man Group.
Yep. And they were using them to kind of make fun of the PC versus the Apple, but all you saw was PC. And at the end, there was a quick Apple logo, but all you thought of, that PC was cool.
Oh,
it kind of backfired. That one didn't work too well for them. And you just go, for all the millions they pay for advertising, every so often they don't quite get it right.
Sometimes,
And remember PC versus Mac? The Mac guy was like really cool and laid back, and the PC guy was pathetic, and you felt sorry for him. And a lot of people felt, the PC guy's not really, he's a victim, poor guy. Look at him.
Poor guy.
And so again, it didn't quite work the way they wanted. And, the cool guy gets everything, and the poor nerd, he doesn't get a thing.
So, well, now nerds rule the world. So
that's right.
They got their revenge. I think it's always advertising is interesting, and there's been some great advertising, but I understand to some degree what they're doing and why they do it. And but I'm not, I don't want to anger anybody out there. You go for it. But it's definitely my point was just that advertising has an ebb and flow to it. And there are things that are popular and stylized, and then there will be a swing probably the other way, who knows?
Well, it's interesting because in this field, the voiceover field, I found that voiceover talents on the whole are some of the most sharing people you'll ever meet out there. You can ask
It's a really great community. Really nice community.
And they're willing to recommend others, even though it may quote unquote compete with them. Yeah. I've seen this more than once. Yeah, somebody, I go, do you know anybody who can do this? Oh, sure. You know what? I have 3 friends. Give them a call.
Yep.
And
that's very commonplace.
And they'll also help each other more than just about any community I've seen.
All the time.
Other communities, not as much. Not as much.
On camera, the on-camera world is so different. I went to an on-camera audition. This was like a couple of months ago. Oh, I guess it was probably a year ago. Anyway, it's been a little while now, but it was one of the last few on cameras I went to, and I'd been doing voiceover. And I mean, I have this wonderful group of friends and some of them I've never met in person, but we Zoom and we're like super, super close. Yeah. And we share with each other and help each other however we can, my Source Connect's not working. Can you do hold on, let's hop on right now. Yeah. That's all the time. And so I went to this on camera and I'm like, walk in, I'm like smiling at everybody and making eye contact, and they're all like, because I'm competition. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. You guys are jerks. I'm kidding. They warmed up to me, but everybody was kind of like, what is wrong with it? I'm like, I'm a voiceover actor.
She can't be that nice. She can't be. I hate her already. Yeah.
I know. I was for sure I got a call. I was so awesome. I was like, I was so good. I'm like, called my agent. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got a call back. Never heard anything. I was like, oh, never mind.
You never heard from them again?
No, I don't know. It was a hospital spot. They didn't cast me, but that's okay. Hey, can't win them all.
Yep, that's true. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's really, really great. So yeah, that's it.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
It came in loud. Okay. Oh, hi everybody. We're all awake again now. Sorry about that. Dang. Still too loud. Jeez. Okay. Sorry. That's okay. That's our little notifier that we're about 30 minutes into it and we're supposed to go away now, even though we could talk for hours.
Yeah. It's hard to get me to shut up. But
no,
good.
This is great. No, Heather, you're absolutely a wonderful person to get to know and to work with and everything else. So we've enjoyed this and we're glad you could make it. And also, if you have a need for a good female voice talent who's a little different, can really read lively and can just do great work, you've got her information on the lower third, but look at the notes below. We'll have links to her website, and she's also on Fiverr. You can find her in different places. So
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, it's great. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on, and
thank you.
We look forward to seeing you again here. I'm sure you will be asked back soon. Have fun with it.
I'd love to be back.
We don't bore you. You'll be good.
No, never. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you, gentlemen.
Great.
It's good to be here.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, give us your feedback, ring the bell or whatever that is next to the subscribe button. And we'll see you next week on Sounding Great. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yay! We just hang up.
Stay on.
Okay. Do I just